The semi-finals are complete at the Australian Open, and we saw one set and the other straight sets for Jannik Sinner. Unfortunately for Djokovic, he was unable to continue after that opening set against Zverev, pulling out through injury. And me and Ben are going to discuss it all.
That's right, both semi-finals are complete and we have the final now of Sinner versus Zverev. But let's speak about the semi-finals. Obviously, the first one of the day, it was Novak Djokovic. Could he complete the impossible again and take out Sasha Zverev? But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. A crazy first set that lasted 82 minutes, which is absolutely ridiculous in itself. But it was the final nail in the coffin for Djokovic. And as soon as he dumped that smash into the net and gave the set away, that was the end. And everybody was surprised. I was surprised. The crowd was surprised. Zverev was surprised on the court as well as they walked to the net, shook hands. And that was it for Djokovic at the Australian Open. There'll be no number 11, no number 25, and Zverev into his first Australian Open final.
Yeah, firstly, apologies if the sound quality is not great. As you can see, I'm in a different location today. I am on holiday, but the podcast never stops. Game to Love is always going. And I did catch a little bit of this match because I was up at the time and I thought we was in for a really good one. The first set was very tight and close, but it just proves Novak Djokovic was injured. Everyone who was saying he was faking it can just go be quiet now. It was clear and obvious he was suffering in his prior match to Alcaraz, and that just shows the strength and resilience from him. I'm not going to come on here and gloat to say I predicted Zverev because I think that's not really fair. We don't know what would have happened if the match went on. The first set was so grueling and tough. The only thing I will say is I did say, physically, I'm not sure where Djokovic is compared to Zverev. Zverev is the younger guy, and eventually it's got to catch up on him. I keep saying that, and I think this was a situation where Djokovic was a little bit human. 37 years old, almost 38. It's going to happen eventually. You can't keep going in this same way and getting through all of these injuries and problems without it catching up. The most important thing, though, I want to speak about is the booing. And let's address that to begin with. It is the title of the video and everyone's speaking about it online. I think it is really poor form from the Australian crowd. I can understand why they did it because they've paid a lot of money and for the tickets. They've taken a lot of time out of their day. But that's the risk you have to take when you go to watch live sport. To boo a guy who has been there, you can see here, this is what Zverev said. Please, guys, don't boo a player when he goes out injured. I know that everyone paid for tickets, but Novak Djokovic gave his all to the sport, everything for the last 20 years, won this tournament with an abdominal and hamstring tear, so some love. And I think they were very disrespectful, and it's not a good look for the Australian crowd. First, we've seen the incident with the broadcaster, Tony Jones. We're now seeing the crowd being very disrespectful. They have been throughout the tournament as well. All the incident what happened with him being deported from Australia a few years ago with COVID. And I think they should apologise, quite frankly. I think it's difficult to say they should apologise because it's a collective crowd, but they need to do better as a community and as a collective because I didn't like the booing at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sour end to what's been a really great tournament for Novak Djokovic and a tournament that he is probably like the main focus. If there's Australia, you think Novak Djokovic. That's the problem. In recent years, you're thinking Australia, Novak Djokovic for the wrong reasons. And I don't want this to be a place that he looks back on and thinks I've got some negative thoughts towards it because he's won the tournament 10 times. I mean, it's a ridiculous number of times. And think how many great moments he's given those fans over the years. Epic final after final after final. So many great memories. And to have this just at the end when clearly he was injured in the last match. And now to even... What was he supposed to do? Pull out? I mean, he gave it his best shot. He played 82 minutes. And I said this, I sound a little bit different to what I did at 5:30 this morning. I hope you all appreciate. But yeah, he gave you 82 minutes of tennis still, which is more than you get in some tennis matches anyway. And I think it was a really high level. The fact it was 82 minutes and he lost the set, can you blame him? He had to win another 3 sets against Sasha Zverev and then potentially another 3 sets against Jannik Sinner. I mean, it's just not possible, is it? I mean, if he'd have got to the final and then pulled out, what? Is that better? Like, if he pushed his body to the brink and you never saw him play tennis again, is that better? No. Everyone wants to see him play and be competitive. And unfortunately, that was the level he could be competitive up to. One really good set. And would you want to see him lose 6-love in the next 2 sets? Would that be better for viewing for everybody? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, certainly not. And I've just sent you a tweet, Ben, because it sort of summarizes some of the parts from the presser. I know we spoke about it briefly, me and you, off air, but for purposes of the podcast, let's discuss it now. And that is that Djokovic has confirmed it's a muscle tear. He said it's much more painful than the incident that happened 2 years ago. He says he would have tried to play probably one more set if he had won the first. And he also then says he doesn't confirm if he'll come back to the Australian Open, hinting retirement in 2025. And he said it all depends on this season. And I think what he means by that is if he doesn't feel like he can go deep in the slams, he may not even play the Australian Open next year. So be careful what you wish for, Australian fans, because you're there booing him. But I can guarantee you that the whole event will not be the same high prestigious event without him. It will take some time to get there. We've got some great players, but it will be missing a real champion. I feel like the tour misses a Rafael Nadal at the moment. It is sad. I am a big fan of him. And as much as Djokovic isn't my favourite player, the tour will not be as good of a place without him. So be careful what you wish for. That's why, as much as I criticise him at times, as much as I go against him in predictions, I can always openly admit that I liked seeing him playing tennis, and it will be a very sad day when it all comes to an end. Not just for him, but all of the big three. So it was sad when Murray retired too. But with Djokovic, someone who's so successful here in Melbourne, let's see how he gets on for the rest of the year. Personally, this could be a bit of a disappointment statement. You know, initially after the loss, it happened with Medvedev a few times. He said some things in the press room which he didn't quite mean. I think Djokovic will be okay. I think he's proved already what he could do with Alcaraz, that he's got this whole year and next year as well. But that's just my opinion. Let's see what happens in the future events. I think it's been a really successful tournament for Djokovic. He went further than what I thought he could, and he's proven to me that he can play with the very best. So all in all, positive tournament, and hopefully he can recover quick for the upcoming tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, to do everything he did with a muscle tear yet again. He was even posed a question in the press conference as well by someone saying, you seem to be picking up a lot more injuries of late, like you're unable to play through them. Does that worry you? And he hadn't really even thought about it, Djokovic. He had to think about it in the moment, and he just said, yeah, actually, Roland Garros, now Australian Open, it's starting to become a more regular thing, and he's starting to look a little bit more human, and he can't just push his body to the limits, it seems, anymore. It's very sad when it's Father Time. It's going to get everybody. No one's like immortal. So naturally, the fact he got to the semi-finals again is still ridiculous, really, considering his age. But yeah, there's not much you can do. Like if I was, considering that I'm similar sort of age to Djokovic, if I put my body through what he puts it through, I would be in hospital probably for months. And the fact that he gets to this sort of level of fitness, flexibility, and literally just an athlete at the top of the sport, and still beating people of the age of 21 years old who are still incredible sports people. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to prove anything else. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. It's sad that he's gone out the tournament and he couldn't give us a full match against Zverev, but I think Zverev looks incredible himself. And the fact that he pushed him to a tie-break was pretty good. Zverev, though, you got to realise, in this tournament, he's serving at probably the best I've seen him serve in a slam.
Agreed, yeah.
He's serving above, I think, 75%. of first serves the whole tournament, and it was the same today. And they're all over 200 kilometers an hour. So, I mean, it looks good for him going into the final. He's going to be fresh, but he's up against the best hardcourt player right now.
Could we see another scenario where Zverev starts really fast, goes 2 sets to love up in another epic slam final, and then loses in 5? I'm having a feeling initially that something like that could happen. His level is very high, and Sinner has his work cut out. We'll get on to Sinner in a second. The last stat I have really here for Djokovic is an interesting one. I don't know if you know about it, but this is Djokovic's record at the Australian Open with night matches and day matches. So He's played 10 night matches at the semi-finals and won all 10, and he's played 2 day matches and lost both of them. Does that have anything, or is it just coincidence? Is that anything to do with it?
I mean,
this Zayn guy, by the way, is not a Djokovic fan. He's a big Nadal fan.
Got a big Rafa face there.
And, no, if you see some of his tweets, he's very anti-Djokovic. But this is one you can't really dispute. It's a fact.
Well, this is the problem with it is both of the day matches have come when he's oldest in his career. So I don't know how much you can look into it. The one against Sinner, it was probably just Sinner's time. Djokovic had a bit of a bad match. Like in one set, he sort of couldn't compete, and then Sinner took over. That was just the way it was on that day. It happens at the top of the sport. Day or night, I don't think it really affects Djokovic. If he plays his best tennis, you're not going to beat him. But on those 2 occasions, I mean, what can you do? He's got a muscle tear, and he's playing against the number 2 player in the world. Just not really gonna. It's not gonna cut it, is it? So I don't know what more to say about that. It's an interesting stat, but I don't think it means a lot.
No, exactly. I just thought I'd throw it out there. Also, guys, let us know in the comment section, what did you make of Novak Djokovic today? Do you think he should have continued? Do you think he's still got a future? Do you think he's going to retire this year? What's your thoughts? My ones are very positive. I feel it's been a fantastic tournament, despite this loss at the semi-final stage. Hopefully, he can recover and get back to his best. And I want to give a lot of credit to Sasha Zverev. I've not spoke about him, but you summarised it perfectly. He's gone under the radar. He's got the best serve, I think, this tournament. And he can beat anyone when he's playing like this. And that's why I predicted him to beat Djokovic. Obviously, no one saw it happening like this, and it was unfortunate. Moving on to Jannik Sinner, because this is something I think we should give ourselves some credit for with Jannik Sinner.
One thing just before we move on, and it's just like a little conspiracy theory that I was speaking to a very big Sinner fan that was out there earlier on today. I don't know, you probably know him. And there's this opinion out there that Djokovic didn't continue after that first set because he wants Sasha Zverev to win the final, and he doesn't want Jannik Sinner to win the tournament. So he'd like Zverev to be as fresh as possible to face.
That's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy because Djokovic has come out in the press room and said he wants Zverev to win.
No, but
and it's clear. He said he's going to be supporting Sasha to win his first Grand Slam. He does not want Sinner winning more slams because he knows Sinner is more of a threat than Zverev is in terms of getting to 20 plus slams. He doesn't want another name there. So I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think that's honest. And I think Djokovic could probably agree with that.
No, but I don't mean about who he's supporting. I mean about the match ending when it did. That's the conspiracy. Did he just say, I'm going to just pack up now because I want Zverev to have a better chance against it? I'm like, I don't want to wear him out anymore.
Possibly. I mean, possibly. I felt like Djokovic at that point, his body was hurting. He was clearly injured. And he believed that he could not continue. And all he was going to do was just cause more harm and aggravate the tear. On that basis, he also knew if for some miracle he was able to get through this one like he did against, was it Cerundolo at the French Open? He then pulled out of the next match. All he was going to do was ruin the final and give Sinner a free reign at number 3 for him?
Yeah.
Number 3? I'm losing. I don't even know how many slams.
Third slam. Yeah, it would be his third slam. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I forget. His first slams he was winning was only last year.
Yeah.
Seems like he's been around for a while winning stuff. But yeah. Let's move on to Jannik Sinner, since we're speaking about him. And I forgot what I was going to say now because we've gone all the way back on one.
Apologies.
I had some interesting thing to speak about with Jannik Sinner, but you'll have to start because I forgot it.
No worries. Yeah, just have a think while I'm talking about it. This match just finished up, and the first set, very, very competitive. I thought it was a brilliant first set. Shelton definitely played his part in it. A lot of unforced errors. That's the only thing I'd say with Ben Shelton. He comes, it's like do or die every rally, and you get some amazing winners, but you also get some really stinking unforced errors out of him. And he had set point. He had set point in that first set, right at the end of the set. And as soon as he got broken back, you just knew, didn't you? It's gone to tiebreak. And Jannik Sinner in a tiebreak is a nightmare, especially if the other guy's like feeling a bit down in the dumps after just having set point taken away. Lost the tiebreak and ultimately lost the match. Because after that, even if he'd won the tiebreak, I think Sinner would have come back and probably beaten him, but straight sets.
Yeah, so what I was going to say was this, that we need to give Game to Love some credit here. They're quick to criticise us, but what we've been saying... One second, what's going on here? Some horns going off. They don't let me get this out. Someone is stopping me from saying this. You've tried, got the horns. I'm going to forget it again now.
Must be controversial.
I just want to give Game to Love some credit. No one wants to give it to us, but we've been saying throughout, he is the one to beat. We've had it in all the titles. We've consistently been saying he is the player to beat. And it's true. Just people need to accept he is the best player in the world on hard courts at the moment. And that is not a crazy out there opinion. If 99% of people do not agree with that, then I'm not sure what's wrong with you, because it's clear and obvious. He's that good and he is just so dominant. Look at it here. Third Slam final, second Australian Open final, 20th straight win, 13th straight win at the Australian Open. I can see these stats just getting even crazier. Yeah. I'm struggling to find when he's going to lose on these hard courts. He's so good here. And I don't know if you saw the little meme of Spider-Man. I thought that was quite funny. I sent it to you. He was doing, we usually call Djokovic sort of the flexible Spider-Man type guy, but Sinner, we don't speak about his flexibility maybe enough. He's so flexible. Have you seen the camera when he's waiting to receive the ball? So he's hit the ball. You look at his footwork and how quick he is to react and move position. And then when he does get there, the way he can slide on a hard court, his movement, you could argue, is up there with the very best I've ever seen. And we never speak about it. We always speak about his ball striking. We speak about his mental. We speak about his backhand, everything. His serve, his how pressure points, how good he is. We never speak about his movement. And his movement is one of his best skill sets, I think.
I think it's the one thing which when he improved it, was the thing that took him to this level. That's what I personally think.
Quickly, compare it to Taylor Fritz. It's a great example. Taylor Fritz's movement is nowhere near Jannik Sinner, and they've got similar attributes in other areas. We know Fritz hits the ball very well too. If he worked on his movement, it'd be a totally better player.
Totally, and that probably credit to someone like a Darren Cahill, people like that who he has in his team. That's been a real focus of Sinner to improve, and he was doing well. And we always used to think, oh, he's just not like muscular enough. He's a little bit lanky. He's a little bit skinny. It was never that. That was never the problem. The problem was the movement. The problem was him getting to the ball within enough time to hit those really devastating shots. And some of the shots that he hits, he was making Shelton have to hit probably the perfect shot to be able to win rallies. And credit to Shelton, some of the winners he hit today were incredible. Like, they're massive power, some really delicate drop shots. And Sinner fell over at one point trying to get to one of the drop shots. You have to do that to Sinner now. You have to make him literally fall on the floor because he won't give up. And that was another thing. He used to give up. Used to be, I've got a blister. I'm going to pull out. Not anymore. He doesn't pull out of anything. He was limping today during the third set. Guess what? He just plays through it now. There's no even thought in his mind of retiring from a match anymore due to something small. He probably looks at Djokovic and thinks he's won Grand Slams with muscle tears and all sorts. What am I doing? And now he's that guy that everybody's looking at going, oh no, I've got to play Jannik Sinner, and he won't go away for the whole entire match. And I have to literally put that third set and out of his reach to be able to win 3 sets. Because look what happened to Medvedev last year. He didn't put the third set out of reach, and he lost in 5. And that's what Jannik Sinner does to you now. Got to beat him in 3 or 4.
Yeah. Exactly, and he's now the youngest player to reach back-to-back men's singles finals at the Australian Open since Pete Sampras, 94, 95, and in great company. We spoke about all the stats with him and Alcaraz. And what's really interesting about this final is what you're going to have is the whole Novak Djokovic world supporting Sinner losing this final. And what I mean by that is they're not really caring about Zverev winning the first slam, but they're supporting Jannik Sinner to lose. They really don't want him winning more slams. And all the Djokovic and Serbian fans who do stick around, I feel they'll be attending the final, but they may switch their Serbian flags for German ones.
Quite possibly. I think you will see a lot of that. A lot of the diehards who are actually against Sinner due to the whole doping thing as well. They're joining the Kyrgios, the Djokovic, that side. I'm not of that camp. So if anybody, don't put me in a box. I'm not in that one. I actually love watching Jannik Sinner play. I think what he's doing is amazing. If he becomes even greater still, then I'm all for it, because I want to see the highest level of tennis. And if that's Jannik Sinner, if it's Sasha Zverev, that's what I want to see. So, and I think we're going to have tie breaks. We'll obviously go into an actual preview, but this is Jannik Sinner's tie-break record, 22-3 in the last 25. But we'll break down the final a bit later on in a separate video. And I thought this was quite a good one, just to finish off. The youngest man to reach multiple Australian Open finals since 92-93, Jim Courier. Look who was on the court to give him an interview. None other than Jim Courier. And I do love Jim Courier and his post-match interviews. Probably one of the best personalities I think we've got in tennis. Mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he comes across extremely well. I think he's very funny and kind with the players. And I wouldn't put him in the category of what Ben Shelton was talking about with the broadcasters. Jim Courier has been nothing but polite and respectful to all of the players. And I don't want him getting sort of tarnished with a bad name at all in any of this. But let's wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for watching. That was just our sort of review of the semi-finals for the men's. We'll be back later to give our preview on the men's final. I'm going to head to the beach and have a good time. And what are you going to do? Head back to work? Sorry to rub it in.
I'm back to work. That's it. Yeah, back to work. Loads of fun here on this side. Just it never stops. You have fun. Don't forget to put your sun cream on. And yeah, we'll see everybody a bit later.
Yeah, I'll see you later with my salmon glow. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon.